Godzilla is now in New York City.
Monster 01 and 02, commence the attack.
Listeners, and welcome back to Stomp This Way. This week we are reviewing Clash of the Titans. 1981. Maybe a little bit out of our usual wheelhouse, but
it's got a giant creature in it.
It's got a giant creature. Effects done by Ray Harryhausen, who we've reviewed several of his works. So here we are.
We are here. And because we're doing this, we will also review the other two that were created.
Right. Hey, this week the entertainment was provided from Dylan's collection.
Oh,
yeah.
On the wrong podcast.
Is that even allowed?
I was like, what? Dylan's more prepared than I am. Well, anyway.
I actually own all three of these films, unfortunately.
Oh.
Why? I don't know.
Fortunately for us, because now we don't have to pay for them later.
You're so true. I think I only paid like a combined $4 for all three movies. I think I found the original Clash of the Titans and the remake Clash of the Titans in a combo pack at like Big Lots or something. I think I was there with my mom and my grandmother.
Big Lots? Who shops at Big Lots?
We were there. My mom and my grandmother were there looking at something together, and I found it for like $2 or $3, and then I think I got Wrath of the Titans at a pawn shop for like $1 or something like that.
Well, there you go.
So here we are.
Here we are.
Well, this film was originally conceived by writer Beverly Cross. And they shopped it around for a while. And initially, Columbia Pictures dropped the project because they said it was too expensive. But Charles Schneer, the producer on this film, a frequent collaborator with Ray Harryhausen, took it to Orion, and he wanted Arnold as the star. Arnold Schwarzenegger, that is. But the studio turned it down, saying the role had too much dialogue, and at that time, Arnold was not great at the English. So, eventually, MGM agreed to finance the film for basically the amount of money Schneer and Harryhausen were asking for.
Did MGM own Orion at that time? Do you know? Did you see that information anywhere?
I don't think so.
They own Orion now, I guess.
Do they own it now?
Yeah.
Was Orion in the credits?
I didn't think I saw anything about Orion in the credits, but I know that MGM owns Orion now, which is, I guess, now owned by Amazon.
Yeah, so there you go. Well, I don't think they owned him at the time. But this was Harryhausen's last feature-length film that he did the effects for. I mean, he's done a few like short films and such since, but yeah. So there you go. It's a bit of history. And Harry Hamlin and Ursula Andress. Andress plays Aphrodite. They were romantically involved at the time of this filming. So there you go.
Interesting.
Even though, by the looks of her, I would say
she is not Aphrodite.
That's mean. No, I was just going to say that she had a couple decades on him, but maybe looks deceiving.
I think that there were prettier women playing gods and goddesses in this film, or I guess goddesses in this film, that were more attractive than the person they actually had playing Aphrodite.
Dylan, beauty is subjective. We're not here to judge people by their looks.
Yeah.
That's true. But I'm just saying.
But Athena was hot.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dylan, what happened at the box office?
So this film was released June 12th of 1981, so almost exactly the 40th anniversary of this film. We were recording this, I believe, on June the 8th.
That's right.
As we sit here, so 4 days away. Ooh.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. Coincidence?
Big coincidence.
Big coincidence, yeah. This film has a reported budget of about $15 million, so not too shabby.
It's pretty good for 1981. I mean, like we always say, Star Wars was made for $11 million a couple years earlier.
Yeah, that was a really expensive movie at that time, too.
Yeah, so.
Opened to $6.5 million on its opening weekend, although it was number 2 on its opening weekend behind the classic Steven Spielberg film, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Has a total domestic gross reported of $41 million and a total worldwide gross reported of $70 million, so it made some money.
Made some money back on it. Well, we're going to pause here to listen to the trailer, and then we'll come back, read off the cast and crew, read off the plot, and then we'll talk about Clash of the Titans, the original version. So, see you in a bit.
Provide him with suitable weapons. Weapons of divine temper. A helmet, a shield, a sword.
Find and fulfill your destiny.
The myth, the magic, the mystery, the majesty.
Destroy Argos! Let loose the last of the Titans.
Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer presents Clash of the Titans. The good, the evil, the danger, the daring.
How may a mortal man face and defeat the Kraken?
Clash of the Titans. The combat, the courage, the splendor, the spectacle. Clash of the Titans. Starring Harry Hamlin as Perseus, Judy Bowker as Andromeda, Burgess Meredith, Maggie Smith, Ursula Andress, Claire Bloom, Sean Phillips, Flora Robeson, and Laurence Olivier as Zeus. Before history, beyond imagination. Clash of the Titans.
All right, we're back.
Are we?
We are. This film is directed by Desmond Davis, written by Beverly Cross, music by Laurence Rosenthal, effects by Ray Harryhausen, of course, and starring a lot of people.
Yes.
Harry Hamlin, Judy Bowker, Burgess Meredith, Maggie Smith,
Classics here.
Cian Phillips, Claire Bloom, Ursula Andress, Lawrence
I think it's pronounced Olivier.
Olivier? Is that what we're going
French.
with? Okay, well, then we're going to say that then. Pat Roach, Susan Fleetwood, Tim Pigott-Smith, Jack Gwillem, Neil McCarthy, Vita Taylor, and Donald Houston.
Yes.
So what is the condensed plot of this film?
Yeah. After Zeus impregnates the daughter of King Arcrisius, King Arcrisius of Argos banishes her and her baby to the sea in a wooden chest. Angered, Zeus orders Poseidon to release the Kraken.
Release the Kraken.
To destroy Argos. The city is annihilated, but the princess and her son, Perseus, are delivered safely to an island to live in peace. Meanwhile, Calibus, the son of the goddess Thetis, is transformed into an ugly beast by Zeus as punishment for killing the flying horses. In revenge, Thetis teleports Perseus, now an adult, to Joppa, where he falls hopelessly in love with the princess Andromeda, who was betrothed to Calibus, but now refuses to marry him. That was a long sentence. Perseus does battle with Calibus, chopping off his hand and forcing him to remove the curse he has placed on Andromeda. But just as the two are about to marry, Thetis delivers the message that she will destroy Joppa if Andromeda is not sacrificed to the Kraken in 30 days. In order to save her, Perseus goes on a quest to obtain the head of Medusa to turn the Titan to stone. After an arduous journey, in which he does many battles with mythical beasts, Perseus is successful in beheading Medusa and returns just in time to save Andromeda. In the final scene, the two are married and Zeus inscribes their likeness in the stars. As credits roll.
Aw, how sweet. Well, have we all seen this film before?
At least once. It's been many a year.
Have.
I've seen it a few times, I think. I think, in fact, we watched it in Miss Nixon's 6th grade social studies class.
I'm sorry.
I remember that vividly because when the first bare breast scene came up, she ran in front of the smart screen, the smart board, and was like, "Close your eyes, kids," even though you can see it projected right over. I mean, I don't know what good that did. But then later when Andromeda walks out of her bath or whatever, she didn't care at all, and we watched it. But anyway, enough story time. So
Yeah, I think the first time I saw this was like, I want to say it was probably sometime around 2010 or 2011, right about the time that the remake was coming out.
yeah,
My parents were like, "Have you seen the original?" I'm like, "No, there's an original."
yes. But this film, how does it start out? It starts out with King Perseus. He's
banishing his daughter.
He's
and her
unhappy
grandson.
because she's gotten pregnant,
got a
and had
child.
a baby, and so they nail her into a wooden chest and
send her on her way.
send
into
her
the
on
ocean.
her way, and then we go
Poseidon turns into he's a seagull and he travels to Olympus.
Yep, and Zeus he's ticked because turns out that kid is his grandson, no, his son.
Yeah.
And because he seduced the princess, and so he orders Poseidon to deliver them safely onto an island, and then he orders Poseidon to release the Kraken, the last of the Titans, and destroy Argos.
Yes.
And destruction scene ensues.
Yes.
You know, I was surprised. My memory of this movie was that
The Kraken didn't show up till the end.
the Kraken was like the big reveal at the end of the movie, but we see him in the first 10 minutes of this movie, actually.
Yeah, about 10 minutes in, he comes out of the water and
Destroys
Argos.
So, I mean, yeah. So
And
that was a
Zeus
surprise.
has these clay figures, by the way, that we forgot to mention, that he crushes King Perseus and kills him.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
he's dead.
He's dead.
I mean, then montage.
The city gets flooded.
City gets flooded.
Montage, breastfeeding.
Yeah.
Kid grows up,
Yeah.
and he's Perseus.
He's Perseus. And so...
Now he's all grown and apparently a male model.
He is.
Yeah.
He's a nice looking fella, and he does not believe in wearing a lot of clothing. Bare chest.
Nipples galore.
Yeah, bare
Yeah.
chest this, pretty much this whole movie. Meanwhile, Thetis, played by the
Maggie Smith.
incomparable Maggie Smith, he is betrothed to the Princess Andromeda, but he hunts and kills the magical horses that Zeus loves so much. So Zeus is like, screw you, you're going to be turned into this ugly...
Creature thing.
Yeah, centaur looking
thing. And Maggie Smith as Thetis is like, no, not my son.
Yeah,
And he's
and
like,
so
it's too bad.
she's jelly because he's given Perseus special treatment. And so she's like, I'm going to take Perseus and I'm going to transport him to Joppa. So
She takes his clay figure as he's laying on the beach and literally takes it and puts it in Joppa. Because, that's how things work.
it's Greek mythology, magic galore.
Sure,
Doesn't matter.
sure.
Just roll with it. My question was, do these clay figures grow with the people, or does he have to remold them?
It's a good question.
I don't know. But anyway, so he's there, and I guess it was her grand plan that he would stumble onto Andromeda and fall in love with her and become obsessed. And so he goes to the town. Or first he runs into Burgess Meredith, who is, I don't know what he's doing in this movie, but
He's a few years removed from Rocky at this point.
yeah, poor guy. And I don't know, have a banter, but he goes into town and he hears from a guard about how there's a curse on Andromeda, and if these suitors can't answer her riddle, they get burned at the stake in the center of town.
We've also forgot to mention that because he was transported to Joppa, Zeus has demanded that the gods provide him with weapons and armor.
Has it already happened?
Yeah, it happens before he goes into the actual city for the first time, because he gets a shield that Zeus tells him some stuff, some wisdom.
All Obi-Wan Kenobi
Yeah, and then he gets a fancy sword that can cut through marble or something like that, and
then he gets
a helmet that can turn him invisible.
The helmet of invisibility.
Yeah, so he wears the helmet into town.
Yeah, and he sneaks into, after hearing the story about Andromeda, he sneaks into her castle and he
stalks her.
He witnesses a giant turkey vulture steal her soul,
metaphysical body,
or something,
and
her
spiritual body.
But she's returned the next day.
Yes.
But then she goes back out the next night.
Yes.
And we learn that she's in the meantime, I guess Perseus has tamed Pegasus, the last of the flying horses.
Yeah, I guess it's at this point we've learned that they've inferred that this turkey vulture is taking her to the swamp creature lord thing that is Calibus.
Yeah. And Calibus, he's like, he gives her the riddles.
He's pissy.
And he's not happy about the whole situation. And he basically sends her back. He's going to send her back on her way, but he notices little invisible footprints being made. And he's like,
fight ensues.
What? And yeah, fight ensues. Well, I guess, yeah.
Altercation.
Fight. There's a fight, but we don't see how it ends. But later,
we see him draw out a sword and he slashes it. We don't know what happens exactly. Next scene is a throne room sequence, I guess.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure the fight with Calibus, that looks like the set of
the Dagobah set.
Dagobah.
It's like MGM went up to 20th Century Fox. It was like, can we borrow this?
Yeah, and then the next scene looks like it's a redecorated throne room set.
Can we borrow this?
But
do I still have that? No.
She comes in and the mom is, her mom is like, who will, ask for a hand in marriage or whatever.
Who is worthy?
And then old Perseus, he just strolls right up in there.
He's like, what's the riddle?
With Burgess Meredith in tow for some reason.
He's like his mentor now.
Keeper, his guardian, I don't know. And he's like, yeah, what's the riddle? And she reads it, or recites it, and he's like, it's the ring on his finger or something.
And he tosses the hand at her feet.
He's like,
so he slashed Calibus' hand off.
Yeah, he's like, I defeated him, and the curse is lifted, and
I told him I'd spare his life if he lifted the curse or whatever. So, but now he's still pissy.
He's still unhappy.
Yeah, and Thetis is pissy.
I think, isn't it that very day that they're going to get married?
Yeah, we transition into them. They've changed, and now they're going to get married, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the mom, as she's about to tie the ribbon around.
Right before that, I guess, as they're preparing to get married, Calibus comes into the throne room and talks to his mom's statue.
I think he talks to the statue outside.
Or whatever. He talks to a statue.
And her face
turns
superimposed over
Maggie
the statue's
Smith,
face, and
she says something or the other. He's like,
he's protected by Zeus.
Please, blah 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 blah, or something.
Well, she's like, he's protected by Zeus, and he's like, well, then hurt the ones that's close to him, Andromeda and the Queen and the people of Argos. And so, anyway, as she's about to tie the ribbon to, officially,
she says something against Thetis, how her daughter's
says even more beautiful than Thetis, and then Thetis is not.
She's pissy.
And the stone statue's head falls off. And
it falls to the ground and starts talking.
Yep, and she's like,
your daughter must be a virgin and be placed on the stone by the sea so the Kraken can take her in 30 days.
In 30 days. Or I'll destroy Argos, so I'll have the Kraken destroy Argos.
Or wherever they are. Joppa. Sorry.
Joppa, whatever.
Joppa.
Same thing.
And,
so...
So, no!
No, and I don't know.
Everyone's like, well, what can we do?
And
so I guess they decide that they need to try to find a way to defeat the Kraken. So someone mentions something about
Burgess
the
Meredith
blind
is
sisters.
You gotta go see the blind witches. And so what about how far into the movie is when he kicks off his journey?
40-ish minutes, I think.
It's got to be about 45 minutes in this movie.
I think it's about 45 minutes.
It might be closer to an hour. This is a 2-hour long movie, folks.
Yeah, it is.
It is. But, yeah, once they, get through that, and he
leaves, and the princess and everyone's like, oh, we're going with you. And he's like, no. She's like, yeah.
And so they go to find the 3 witches.
And they get to the bottom of the mountain where the thing is, and he's like, you gotta go home or something.
Well, first they climb up there.
Yeah, sorry. First they climb up there.
And they get up there, and when they find, the Hocus Pocus witches after a few years on meth or something, and...
and they've all gone blind.
And they're all blind, and they have this one seeing eye, but the little...
They are in Greek mythology. It's kind of cool. Yeah. They've also showed up with the Percy Jackson movies.
Yeah. What's the mechanical owl? What's his name?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well... Zeus wanted Athena to send her a real owl.
And she said no.
She's like, hell nah, bruh. And this is a purebred owl.
So Hephaestus is like, we'll just make an owl.
Well, make an owl.
Mm-hmm. So Hephaestus makes an owl.
Little mechanical owl. He's there helping, and he swoops down and gets the eye.
He's supposed to be, I guess, comedic relief. He's goofy.
Yeah, he does
He's
do
goofy,
stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, long story short, they make the witches talk, and the witches are like, if you
gotta go get Medusa.
if you take the head of Medusa, it will turn any living creature to stone. But it's 1,000 times more dangerous than trying to kill the Kraken, so I don't really see whatever.
Anyway,
And
so they leave.
They leave, and
He's like, I gotta go on this journey.
yeah, and basically, yeah, well, Andromeda's like, we're gonna go together, but then he's like, okay, go to sleep, and then they leave while she's sleeping, and
Yeah. So they all leave Burgess Meredith and Andromeda behind.
yeah. And so they go on their journey, and I really think there's only about 45 minutes left in this movie. I think this is, yeah, it's the second
They
half.
get
of
to the
movie by
River
now.
Styx. They got to pay the ferryman from The Conjuring. Sorry, I'm in Greek mythology.
Yeah. We just watched that movie on our other podcast. But they do that, and yeah, I mean, we're at
Medusa's lair.
lair, and
Yeah.
They fight not Cerberus because he's not a 3-headed dog. He's a 2-headed wolf thing.
I don't think they could afford the third head, so
Probably not.
whatever. And then there's a boa, and so like yeah, all these mythical creatures, and Perseus is terrified of a boa that's on his sword, but he gets his sword and kills the dog, and then they go
They go into the lair. And then everyone else dies but him, and he uses his shield. He remembers back.
Mm-hmm.
Zeus told him that his shield, if he took care of it, would take care of him, basically, or something like that. Something to that effect. And well, he chunks it, and it lands perfectly in the hands of the statue.
Yeah,
And Medusa shoots an arrow at it, and it draws her closer, and he beheads her.
he cuts her head off, and
And now he's on his way.
he's moving on up. And
Well, I guess not everyone died. There's a few
couple
soldiers left. Like
there's
two
a
or
couple
three.
left, and
Let's
yeah,
see.
so that night
They're sleeping by the river.
Calibos comes
Yeah.
in, and
They're
he,
living in a van down by the river.
Calibos comes up and he stabs the head of Medusa, and it bleeds, and the blood turns
Into 3 giant scorpions.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so the other 2 soldiers that are left with him are killed by Calibos and the scorpions, but he kills
Perseus
the
is able to
scorpions.
kill the scorpion that's left or whatever.
Yeah, and
And then he fights Calibos after Calibos wraps his whip around his neck or something like that. He
Yeah.
kills him.
yeah,
Takes the head of Medusa.
yeah.
And then he sends the little owl to the swamp.
I thought it was interesting. He mourns the death of one of these soldiers, even though he didn't give 2 craps about the other soldiers. But I guess
That's
they
important.
were friends. But yeah, he
He
sends
sends
the owl
a little owl
to
to go get Pegasus. And then, the little owl fights the turkey vulture
Yeah.
and sets Pegasus free. And,
and
Pegasus
burns down Calibos' swamp.
Yeah. Poor
And,
Shrek. Sorry.
For what? And yeah, and then he gets back to Joppa, and I guess
Just in the nick of time.
Just
I don't
Like,
really.
how long? What's the timeline on this? Like,
I don't know. It's supposed to be 30 days.
I'm confused. Like, okay, it seems like it's just like a couple days.
Well, they mentioned that the travel, like the journey on foot, would take a while. So we're supposed to imagine they travel on foot for a while, I guess. And I guess they decided not to go the Lord of the Rings route, where we just watch them walk across New Zealand for 3 hours. But yeah, I mean the time does
Although
feel a
that's
little
much
wonky.
prettier.
I mean, there's
the time is a little wonky.
there's some pretty on-set film.
There's definitely some
locations.
pretty on-set films, and there's
Right.
some very pretty aerial
on
shots.
location. I guess what I meant.
There's some very, very pretty aerial shots that then subsequently we'll talk about later.
Yeah. Back when they had to film aerial shots with helicopters, they didn't have fancy schmancy drones. Or maybe they were filming them on the back of Pegasus. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he makes it back just in the nick of time. The people of Joppa have chained up
Yeah.
Andromeda after she got naked or whatever.
Yeah.
For some reason. This is a PG-rated movie, by the way.
Yeah, well,
In 1981?
prior to the PG-13
Prior to the
rating.
PG-13 rating.
Just like Howard the Duck and King Kong. No, it was King Kong Lives. It was PG-13. Never mind. Howard the Duck's PG, and but I never really understood when did Zeus, and why did Zeus agree to this? Because he was very adamant against anybody doing harm to Perseus, but then at the end he's like, okay, sure, whatever, I guess. Even though he does, like, Perseus stumbles into Joppa, that Colosseum thing, and he reaches behind him all sneaky-like and, like, sets his
thing back up after.
which I guess we're supposed to think rejuvenates him, I guess.
Or
something.
He imbued him with his power.
Yeah.
Or something.
But
anyway, so he gets there. He's flying in on Pegasus or whatever. They've chained up Andromeda. The Kraken came out looking all all buff and whatnot. He's buff Kraken, by the way.
He's got nipples. He's got a belly button.
He's got abs.
Yeah.
He's got 3 arms.
He's got muscles.
It's a weird, like, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, traditionally the Kraken is portrayed
like a giant squid.
as a giant squid or
That's
a
what I
giant
thought.
octopus or something.
This is the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Is it? Yeah, with 3 arms and a lot bigger, basically.
We'll talk about it.
But, yeah, so...
Yeah, anyway, so...
there's only 10 minutes left in the movie at this point.
He shows up. He's flying on Pegasus, and he's struggling to get the bag open. And he ends up falling in the water, and he swims over the little island thing.
Yeah. I thought it was hilarious.
The little owl saves the bag.
I thought it was hilarious, like all these trials and tribulations.
And he
then
can't get the bag open.
The thing that almost beats him is he can't untie the knot he put on the bag.
So anyway, the little mechanical owl saves the bag, and he gets it untied, and he shows it to the Kraken, and the Kraken
turns to stone and falls apart. And
falls apart. He chunks Medusa's head into the water.
day is saved.
The day is saved.
All these people cheer, even though they were ready to feed Andromeda to the Kraken like 30 seconds prior.
Unwillingly, Aaron.
They didn't want
to save their own skins.
Yeah.
Selfish bastards.
They knew.
But,
they knew he was gonna come back.
they knew. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Perseus and Andromeda, they get married, and Zeus is happy, and he, something together, and Burgess Meredith is, because he's a poet, by the way, and a story writer.
And a playwright.
He's like, this will make a good poem or a play.
Yeah. And the bird chips a little bit, and he's like, don't worry, I won't forget you.
And then narrator says something about how Zeus is pleased, and he said that they'll never be forgotten, and makes them constellations in the stars.
Yeah.
Because the stars are forever.
And the credits roll.
On an hour and 57 minute long film.
It's a long movie, and it's definitely got pacing issues.
It definitely has pacing issues. Very, very large pacing issues.
Yeah.
For the most part, this movie's very slow other than the end.
Yeah, like I said, it's
until I would say about the point where he finally meets the witches, it's very slow.
Yeah, I think it's about an hour into this movie when he finally goes on his journey, about halfway through. And then,
it's probably close to an hour 15 by the time he meets the witches.
Yeah, and then, once he goes on his journey, it's more fun. They fight creatures, and
we actually get some action.
and
lots of exposition about what's going on and who's who and why they're here, kind of things.
It helps if you have a little bit of a working knowledge of Greek mythology, because there's a lot of name dropping.
You're like, who? What?
And and a lot of mythical creatures and things, and you're kind of a bit whiplash inducing if you've never heard of any of these things. I didn't know still who half of them were, honestly.
I'd never heard of Thetis.
I didn't know who Thetis was.
I'd never heard of Calibus, I don't think.
I'd never heard of Calibus.
I had heard of Andromeda and Perseus, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I knew the names of most of the rest of them.
I had heard of the 3 sister witches or whatever.
Yeah. But I think they're called usually they're called what are they? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
The point is, it's a long movie. It could definitely be about 30 minutes shorter.
It could be about 30 minutes shorter. I think we could...
Cut out a lot of this first hour. Most of it.
Cut out a lot of exposition and infighting between the gods because they're all got big egos or something.
Yeah.
And,
there's a lot of big name actors they got playing the gods.
I think Laurence Olivier at the time, he would pretty well known actor from earlier Hollywood.
I think I read where they filmed like all the scenes in like 4 days. And
Maggie Smith I think this was probably earlier in her career.
I mean, she's not young.
She's not young, but this is a little earlier in her career. I mean, she would go on to do
probably early. Now, I think she's been on in plays for probably since she was really young. But early in her film career.
Yeah, I mean, she'd go on obviously to play like Professor McGonagall in Harry Potter and famously in Downton Abbey. And all kinds of things. So very, very well known there.
This is the earliest movie I've seen her
I think this is the earliest thing I've seen her in as well. I don't know that I've seen Maggie Smith in anything earlier than this.
Yeah. But
I mean, Burgess Meredith. I mean, he was a very popular actor in earlier Hollywood when he was young, and
not as Rocky, but in Rocky.
In Rocky, as
the trainer. I forgot his
Mickey.
name. Mickey. There you go. Yeah, I love that. His character is the best. But yeah, so it's a film.
It's all right.
It's all right. It's definitely cheesy.
It's very cheesy.
With a capital
it's of
C.
its time. Honestly, it feels like it's before its time. It feels a little dated even in 1981, in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll get into some of the reasons why and the effects. But, and some of the performances are very,
Dated.
Like, what's his name? Harry Hamlin. Like, his whole character is like, stare very stoically, sometimes off to the side, his mouth open a little bit, look beautiful. And Andromeda's whole performance is look very pretty and petite and moan some on occasion.
The first time you ever see her in the movie, she's literally laying in bed. She just has her eyes closed.
She's having a nightmare. Is that not how you have nightmares?
That's definitely not how I have nightmares. I usually don't think I make any noise, and I'm like, oh God, what's going on? Where am I?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Maggie Smith half the time just acts like she does not want to be there.
She probably did. Yeah. She's like, I could be doing so many better things.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah. It's not devoid of entertainment, though.
No, I mean, I enjoy, like, especially more of the second half. It's fun. Like, I enjoy, you know, and we'll talk about the effect. As someone, you know, I kind of enjoy, you know, older effects like this and older.
Sometimes it's fun to make fun of too.
Yeah, and older storytelling tropes, and you know, I like these, you know, like mythical.
I mean, yeah, this is a fun genre to be in. You know, like the Greek mythology type, you know, hero's odyssey type thing. So it's fun.
It's of its time, but it's fun, I think.
Yeah.
You want to talk about creatures?
Yeah, what do we want to start with?
Well, the first creature I believe we see is the giant turkey vulture, right? Or no, the Kraken.
I guess we see the Kraken about 10 minutes. Like I said, he's the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, he's got 3 arms, scaly skin, nipples, belly button, abs.
He's ripped and got 3 arms. He's the creature from the Black Lagoon. Or Abe Sapien, or the Fishman from, you know, that Guillermo del Toro movie that somehow won Best Picture. Shape of Water.
Shape of Water.
Yeah.
It's an interesting redesign of the Kraken from normal mythology.
I don't know that I've ever seen anything else where the Kraken is has the Kraken in it per se, other than
Pirates of the Caribbean,
the remake or Pirates of the Caribbean. But every time I've ever heard about it, even I've always heard it or seen it as a giant squid or octopus type thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what's up with the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Maybe they just didn't want to.
It was much easier to do. Than
Harryhausen already done a giant octopus movie. He didn't want to repeat himself.
What else we see? We see the Pegasus.
I think the next thing we have to see is
vulture.
the giant turkey vulture, which is a giant turkey vulture.
It's literally a giant turkey vulture.
And then Pegasus, which is a white horse with wings.
Mm-hmm.
Shadowfax with wings.
It's claymation.
It's claymation.
As is the Kraken.
I told Dylan I really wanted to see at least just one
I was
shot.
like, they're gonna have like wings taped to this horse.
Yeah.
What they should have done is attach the wings to a saddle and made him saddle the horse.
Yeah.
Or the horse was pre-saddled.
Yeah.
Like a shimmery gold like saddle or something like that, and the wings were attached to the saddle, attached to wires that did this. That way they don't have to hurt the horse by taping or gluing wings to it.
Yeah, but unfortunately, any distant shot they have of the horse is claymation.
Yeah, we'll talk about. Calibus, he's also claymation when he's not a human. When he's not close up, at least.
When they're doing close-ups of just his top half, it's makeup.
It's a man in makeup,
but when it's a full body shot,
full body, or distant
claymation.
shots, claymation.
Yeah,
he looks like a ram, goat, man, devil thing.
Man, bear, pig?
He's man, bear, pig.
Maybe
he's man, bear, pig.
With a whip.
Yeah.
With a whip.
Well, let's see. What else do we have? We see the dog. What is it?
The dog. It's a
two-headed
two-headed dog.
The two-headed dog.
It's a two-headed dog.
It's a two-headed
You
dog.
see that boa?
There's a real snake.
It's literally a real boa.
Yeah.
We see Medusa.
We see Medusa. She is a large serpent-esque creature.
She's even got a rattle at the tip of her tail.
She sure does.
Yes,
and she has her snake hair and all.
Snake hair.
And her eyes light up green when she is turning people to stone.
She has a bow and arrow.
She does. She's an archer.
Quite the marks woman.
And we have the scorpions.
The giant scorpions. Which are
giant
scorpions.
Do we got to mention the little mechanical owl? He's
That's
a
right.
mechanical owl.
Mechanical owl for sure.
And then there's a real owl.
And there is a real owl.
Yeah.
The witch sisters, do they count?
I guess they just got, like, you know, makeup over their eyes to make them look
yeah.
blind.
And they have one
And they
crystal
look
eye.
like nothing.
I thought it was kind of funny when, like, they were talking to Perseus and there's a guy's hand coming out of the sea and they're, like, pushing it back down. That was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Is that all the creatures? Just about, I think.
Just about.
I feel like I was missing one, but maybe that's it.
I think that's it.
I think that's it. Well, anyway.
Effects.
Effects.
For Harryhausen, I don't think this is his shining moment.
They're definitely dated, and like I told you during the movie, the fact that this movie's in color doesn't do any favors.
No.
I actually think the stop motion by itself is
good.
It's pretty good. I mean,
I think that besides a few shots here and there, I think that the interactions between the claymation and human characters, the way they have the shots layered, it's not horrible.
No.
yeah,
For the most part.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that the worst aspects of this movie are when anything is matted.
Yeah,
It's
green
pretty
screen,
atrocious.
matting effects.
They're not that good.
They're pretty rough. You can see the blue outline. You
On
can
pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like so apparent that it's like being transported back to the 50s, like the time that Harryhausen was in his prime.
Yeah.
When they're
It's like,
underwater.
there's blue outlines around every person. You know, you go back and watch like Ben-Hur or the Ten Commandments or something like that. You see the blue outline around everything.
Yeah. Or like the rear projection shots when he's
When Poseidon's
flying.
underwater or something.
Oh
too.
god, when he's not really underwater.
He's literally just a man standing in front of a screen.
His facial
The transition.
expressions.
So we said at the beginning he's a seagull, and then the transition to like where he walks up and he's like it's just a silhouette. You can't see him, but he's like got like bird wings strapped to his arms. I'm like, oh my goodness.
The rear projection shots while he's flying aren't great, and then they
okay.
have like superimposed wings flapping out beside him. It's not great.
When Maggie Smith's face is superimposed on a statue.
Not great.
Not great. There's
Not
some
good.
weird transitions in this movie.
Especially like that one where it like transitions, like the lightning strikes around the bag that Medusa's head is in, and then they're somewhere else.
Transition, I think, to Maggie Smith and
Yeah.
Olympus.
And
or
you're
whatever.
like,
Yeah.
huh?
What's
going
on
on
here?
here?
The lightning strikes are weird. They're like green and I don't know.
They're like old lightning strikes.
Old.
I mean, for a movie that had lightning strikes at the same weekend, even apparently. I mean, like the lightning strikes that are in
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders of the Lost Ark look much better.
Yeah.
A little bit heftier budget there, I think, though.
The lightning strikes and Jason Lives look better. Anyway, what were we talking about again? Effects. So overall, they're dated. I mean, we'll just say that. They're definitely dated. Now, like I said, I enjoy cheesy 80s, 70s, 80s effects. They don't really bother me.
They're not cheesy 70s, 80s effects, though. They are more of a time before when this movie came out. I think, yes, we had stop motion and a lot of this matting and rear projection stuff even up until the 80s, but I think by this point a lot of people had gone different routes of trying to use it and tried to make it look a little more
Stop
seamless.
motion was definitely
definitely a dying art,
by this
and
time.
it shows.
Star Wars had came out 4 years earlier and it, kind of revolutionized special effects. I mean, stop motion was definitely on its way out the door by this time.
Yeah. So,
it is what it is. Score. Who did the music again?
Somebody.
Laurence Rosenthal. I mean, it's almost John Williams-esque at times.
yeah, I can see that. It's very, grand and
Epic
and hero's journey like.
Yeah.
Like, if you ever seen a movie like this, you've heard a score very similar.
Yeah. I think it works.
It works for the
complements
movie.
the movie.
It gets kind of tense when there's action sequences going on and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. You ready for final thoughts?
Sure. Andrew, what did you think?
Well, you see, this movie, it's not that bad. It's entertaining. It's the pacing in it is a little slow at times.
It's a little wonky.
A little wonky, but I can deal with that. It's not the first movie that I've seen with wonky stuff.
Definitely not.
Won't be the last.
Nope. But the acting in this movie, it's not the worst acting. It's not the best though. it's a little, it's not the best. But, besides that, the effects in this movie are sometimes a little iffy. The weird projections and the green screen stuff are not good in this movie. But the stop motion is pretty alright. You can't tell. Well, you can tell it's stop motion, but you can tell it's pretty good done stop motion.
Pretty well done.
Pretty well done. English is hard. But, score is pretty good. It fits the movie perfectly, I think I'm gonna give this movie a C.
A C. Dylan, what do you think?
I think this movie's alright. It's definitely dated, especially looking back now, 40 years later. I like I said, effects-wise, I think that this movie was probably a little dated even at this time.
Yeah.
It seems to me. But it definitely has a fun vibe and feel to it. I mean, it's a movie about a hero's journey, a quest type film, type story where, a hero's got to go get a thing to save the day or whatever. I think this movie's biggest problem, though, in its storytelling is that the pacing is pretty bad. The first half of this movie is very slow. Very much a lot of the gods and goddesses arguing about, well, my son's better than your son. Well, no, he's not. Well, you did my son dirty, so I'll do your son dirty, too. And
but that's how Greek mythology really was written.
That's how it was written. Does it translate well to film? Maybe not at this time.
Maybe when we have Liam Neeson doing it.
Liam Neeson. Sorry. But yeah, the first act, there are lots of exposition and people explaining things about what's going on, and it gets tedious and kind of I would almost venture to say boring at times. But once his quest kicks off, and especially once we meet the three witches and they tell him to go find Medusa and whatnot, I think it gets fun. We start getting a little more action. He battles creatures and things of that nature. We have a pretty cool scene with Medusa that I like pretty well. I think the effects, the claymation, I think is still impressive even for the time, even though it was a dying art. It's pretty seamlessly incorporated into the film, especially when humans are interacting with it. But I think where this movie struggles with its effects is the matting and rear projection shots and things of that nature. I think they're pretty bad. Lots of blue outlines and people clearly standing in front of screens with things playing behind them, or people standing in front of a screen with a weird effect going over them to make it look like they're underwater. Like Poseidon, he's got like this screen with like things underwater and he's in front of it, but then there's like this weird bubble thing in front of him to make him look even more like he's underwater. It's weird.
I love every time he looks upon the Kraken, he's got this like awe-stricken face on him.
But yeah, the creatures are pretty cool. I mean, the Kraken, though, it's a different iteration that I've never really seen. He's alright. He looks, like we said, like the creature from the Black Lagoon, and all the other creatures are cool. The Pegasus is neat. And the stop motion on most of the creatures is pretty well done, like I said. And the score works for the movie. I don't think it's bad. I think it's of its time too. It works for this kind of movie, but I like it. Overall, it's not a horrible movie. Very, very cheesy, but still fun in a way for the most part. I'll give it a C as well. I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. But, listen, I'm someone who obviously enjoys older, cheesy movies. I have a decent amount of fun with this movie, especially, like I said, in that second half, once the journey really kicks off and they get to fight creature after creature. At 2 hours, it is a bit tedious. I think you definitely could have used a half hour, probably all from that first hour cut out. And yeah, you could have cut down a lot of the bickering between the gods and a lot of the dialogue between the mortals. But that being said, I enjoy the fights. I mean, as cheesy as they are, when they fight giant scorpions and
it's fun.
A two-headed wolf and Medusa and all those
the creature
things.
From the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, the Kraken. And yeah, I mean, it's a fun Hero's Odyssey, Greek mythology, Harryhausen adventure. Funny enough, I'll say. I think I'll be nice to it. I'll give it a C+. But yeah, I mean, if you enjoy classic, adventure films like this, go for it. Watch it. There's definitely worse things you can watch.
Or you could watch better things that came out the same weekend, like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Better. I mean, personally, not a huge fan of Indiana.
Much better.
But I guess technically speaking, it's a better made film.
It's a much better made film.
But anyway, what film? Well, let's see. Well, no real news this week. Just a reminder: Godzilla vs. Kong will be coming out on June 15th on physical media. Although Amazon, it says I'm not going to get my copy till like July 7th. So whatever,
That's weird.
Amazon. And Singular Point will be coming to Netflix on June 24th. I did see where the character of Daimajin will be making his live-action return, and some kind of yokai fantasy movie coming out in Japan. I think it's a sequel to the Great Yokai War that came out in 2005, I believe. I haven't watched that, but I think I need to add it to the schedule, and we need to watch it because I hear it's quite the riot.
Why do you hate me?
But
next week is Peter Jackson's 3-hour plus long epic.
If you thought this movie was long, just wait. We'll have to try to hit that on the weekend when we have plenty of time to sit around and watch a movie.
I'm working all weekend.
Oh, I'm sorry. We'll find some time to watch it.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll set our alarms, wake up early one day and watch it.
Anyway, so Peter Jackson's Kong next week, followed by the 2010 remake of Clash of the Titans, followed by Kong Skull Island to wrap out the Kong franchise.
That's it.
And then wrapping up the Clash of the Titans movies with Wrath of the Titans.
Yep.
And then I think we start Tremors.
Tremors. So excited.
I
just
love
can't
that
hide it.
series.
7 of those.
Yeah, there is.
I love that series.
Yeah, Andrew's seen all of them.
All of them except that new one that's on
Shrieker Island? Yeah.
I've not seen that.
I've only seen through the first 4.
I've only never seen any of them.
Only never seen it. Well, you can look forward to the first one at least. I'll let
It's got Kevin Bacon and Reba.
And Reba McEntire.
Yeah.
What more could you ask for?
Kevin Bacon.
Good movies?
Good movies. No, I like the first movie. But anyway.
So
we'll get there.
but if you can't wait till next week to hear us talk about Peter Jackson's King Kong,
That's right.
you can listen to our other podcast where we just talked about
It should be Annabelle Comes
Home.
Around the same time this gets
Or something like that.
Yeah.
So listen to that.
And you can look forward to us reviewing the brand new Conjuring film, the Devil Made Me Do It.
And then after we do that, we are going to have a deep dive into I would say probably one of Aaron and I's favorite horror franchises, the Halloween franchise.
Definitely.
So look forward to that. That show's called Movies Don't Create Psychos. It should be available on most major podcatching services. So check it out.
That's right. But as far as this podcast goes, you can always contact us at stompthisway1954@gmail.com.
This is true. We're also up on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So we're at Stomp This Way. Make sure you give us a like or follow, and be sure to tell your friends about us.
That's right. We also have a website. Andrew, where can they find that website?
They can find that website at www.stompthisway.podbean.com.
That is true.
That's right. And what can they find over there?
You can find our full schedule, subject to change as always. I'll give you all those movies that we just talked about coming up, and many, many more. As well as grades for previous films listed on that schedule, backlogged episodes, whatever news Aaron wants to keep us updated with if he so chooses.
I need to update that.
And also Aaron's full rankings of both the Godzilla and Gamera franchises, and very soon to be the Kong franchises.
That's right.
And maybe when we're all said and done, he'll supercut them.
I'll supercut it. That's going to be a lot of work. That'll be a lot. But it would be interesting to supercut those 3 franchises and nothing else. But, that being said, I believe that's all we got for you this week. Carve out 3.5 hours this week sometime to rewatch King Kong with us. And,
Or don't.
And we'll just tell you all
long.
about it.
It's long.
Next week. But other than that, as always, thank you for listening. I'm Aaron.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Dylan, and we'll catch you in the next one.